All right, in this section, we're going to be creating our very first canvas. So how do we do that? In the upper right-hand corner, there is this little plus button. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tap on that. And what I have here is the very first option is screen size. So if I tap on that, it's going to take the screen size of my iPad and it's just going to create a canvas on it. It's a great way to just get started and start drawing here in Procreate if you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff. But I do want to spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to tap on that plus button again. Now your screen may look a little bit different than mine because I've created a lot of different canvases and canvas sizes over the years, and what it does is it remembers your last, I don't know how many times it remembers a lot of your previous canvas sizes. So say you're drawing a picture book, a children's book, and you need a certain size canvas. After you create it once, it'll be added to your, recent canvas sizes that you're using. So how do you create a custom size canvas? Well, that is pretty easy to do. You see this little icon that is above screen size in the upper right-hand corner. You tap on that, and it takes you to this fun little screen. In here, we can set whatever dimensions that we want for our canvas. So over here on the left-hand side, we have our dimensions. There is a color profile. This is important if you're going to print or you're aiming for a certain kind of monitor color profile or something like that. If this doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. You won't need to ever touch it. If this does make sense to you, you'll know what to do. Also, some other things in here like time-lapse settings. We're going to talk about some of the cool exporting features you could do in Procreate later. But if you need to touch those time-lapse settings, this is where they are. And then, of course, we have canvas properties. For example, we can set the background color. Right now, it's defaulted to white. If I go ahead and tap on that, I can change that to something else. So that way, when I create that canvas, the background color will be that color. I could also make it transparent by tapping on background hidden. For now, I'm just going to leave these the same and go back to my dimensions tab in the upper left-hand corner. And say I am making a business card and I want my business card to be a certain size and I want that to be in inches. Well, along the bottom we have our little number pad, and on the left hand side of our number pad I can change between millimeters, centimeters, or inches. So if I want something that is, say, 4 inches wide by 2.5 inches high, I can do that, 2.5. And there we go. Up top, we see my width is 4, my height is 2.5, and then we have our DPI. Usually for printed things, 300 DPI is pretty good. If you're just going for screen size things that are going to be viewed on monitors, usually 144 is okay. Another thing Procreate does, and if you've drawn on computers before, you've probably noticed this, especially if you've drawn in Photoshop or something like that, is that when you're drawing with complicated brushes, oftentimes you will see a fair amount of lag. You will be drawing a line and you'll notice it takes a good half second, maybe 2 or 3 seconds for that brush to catch up with your pen tip when you're actually drawing. That almost never happens in Procreate, and one of the reasons why is because it's optimized for this sort of drawing, and it does that by reducing the number of layers you can have based on your file size. So here we have something that's 4 inches wide by 2.5 inches high, and my maximum layers are 250. So I can make 250 layers and keep drawing on them, and this iPad is going to perform very, very well because I'm using an iPad Pro. If I make this bigger, like let's say this is 16 inches, and I'm going to tap on that 2.5 by 16 inches, well, I've just made this canvas much, much bigger, and what do we have now? We have a maximum layer of 19. As your canvas gets bigger, the number of layers you can create when you're drawing is going to go down. If you want to get really technical about how Procreate does this, it does it based on the amount of RAM that your iPad has. So if you have, say, one of the newer iPad Pros, you're going to have more RAM. You're going to be able to get more layers. If you have maybe a more inexpensive iPad, like the entry-level $329 iPad, for example, you might get half as many layers for a 16 by 16 inch canvas. But the reason Procreate puts that limitation into place is so that it can remain performant and it doesn't get laggy, slow down, and crash. So if I want to create a canvas this size, all I'd have to do now is tap on done and it would take me there. I don't want to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do up here is go to cancel. I could also hit create instead of done. But either way, they're going to create a canvas for you if you do that. There's a couple other things I did want to talk about before we actually get to the interface and start talking about that, though. Up along the top in that upper right hand corner next to that plus button, you see select, import, and photo. Now, I've already talked about select a little bit in the last section, but I haven't talked about import or photo yet. If you have a photo on your photo roll, or if you have a file that you want to work with from the desktop, you can import it into your gallery and work directly from that. If you tap on photo, it's going to open your photos. If you tap on import, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it does. It'll actually go to your drive, and I can open my locations on the side here. And I tend to work from iCloud Drive quite a bit. That works pretty well for me. But you can work from Dropbox, you can work directly on your iPad. The idea here is that you can save something to a cloud drive and then open it up and pull it into Procreate. So if I wanted to work from a pre-existing illustration, I can tap on that and it's going to probably download here. So let's see how long this takes. I'm just going to fast forward. Now that that is done downloading, it is going to import into Procreate. This is a really big file with a lot of layers. I chose the wrong file to demo this on, but you get the idea. It's going to take a second to import, turn it into a Procreate file, and there it goes. It's in my gallery, and it opens directly up, and now I can come in here and I could draw to my heart's desire. Actually, that layer was off. Never mind. I'm going to go back to the gallery. So that's how you create a canvas, or work from a canvas that already exists. So in the next section, we're going to be going over the interface. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit that plus button. I'm going to get screen size, and I'm just going to create a brand new canvas that we can work from.